So, welcome to this episode of the Vybe Network podcast. I'm your host, Austin. I go by Ostentatious.
It's your guy, YBK. You know what it is. Yes, sir.
And today we have with us a local Winnipeg artist,
Yep.
Vital. Do you want to introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, the one and only.
You heard. It's your boy Vital. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is dope.
Already off to a good start.
I
so
mean,
I'm
we're
feeling
just
good.
starting out with this stuff. We're sort of trying to iron out the kinks and work towards having this platform be for local artists and
Yeah.
and just getting our message out there, our message about community
Yeah.
and whatnot. So there's probably a lot of people that haven't heard your music. What would you say is your style of music and how you express yourself through music and your message and stuff like that?
Yeah. No, I think early music is definitely more chip on the shoulder, shit to prove. I could really rap like that type vibe. It's kind of where I was started.
Rap.
Yeah, exactly. And as I've kind of earned my flowers and just my spot, I feel like now I'm kind of chilling off that aggressive vibe.
Okay.
I'm kind of slowing down and maturing, growing. It's kind of more reflective of now my experiences of what I'm going through versus before it was kind of just trying to be dope and sounding dope.
Yeah.
And that's truly how I felt at the time. So I guess it still was my experience, but it kind of just evolves in with what you're vibing with at the time.
Yeah, when I got to know your music.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
got
What did you
introduced to your
think?
music.
Yeah.
I like that aggressive vibe too. Not aggressive in the terms we're gonna go do a drill, but aggressive in terms man, I got a whole lot of proof. You know what I mean? A whole lot of the lose type thing. You know what I mean? That greedy, grimy. I was like, this is really hip. You know what I mean? This is really hip hop. And I think that's dope, man. I don't think you should lose that greediness to you. In my opinion, I feel like that's that hunger. You know what I mean? As a person, before I started making music, I listened to my favorite artists. Like Drake growing up was a favorite artist of mine. You know what I mean? And slowly he fell off. You know what I mean? In my opinion, you know what I mean? That Scorpio album was the last album of his I actually listened to. You know what I mean? But it's I felt like he lost that greediness, that thing that made him him. You know what I mean? He was Lover Boy Drake. You know what I mean? Sad Boy hours. You know what I mean? But now he's talking about drills and Mob Ties and all of this stuff. Don't get me wrong, Mob Ties was a fire song, which he didn't write. He didn't write it. He didn't even write it, right? But that was a fire song still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's again, it wasn't reflective of his experience and who he was as a person. You know what I mean? I feel and now that I make music too, I try. You know what I mean? Now that I make music too, I try to recapture that griminess, that greediness, that passion I had when I first started making music. I never want to lose that hunger, you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, no, it's not the hunger that I'm talking about. It's more just I don't really give a fuck what people think now. I think I just cared what I was searching for maybe acceptance at the beginning a bit more.
Validation?
Validation for sure. And I'm I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna make the music I want to make.
Not to cut you off, that's a quintessential stage of being an artist is when you start out. I feel the textbook artist is got a chip on their shoulder, trying to prove something, and cares how they're being perceived. That's the first 1 to 3 years of an artist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go through stages, you learn that your art is unique to you, and you can express yourself in whatever way you want, and it's okay if people don't love it, because people are always going to find something to hate one way or the other. And I feel as hip hop artists, a lot of artists do start aggressive and you want to be cool and shit, but also stepping away from that is fine too. Growing as an artist is it's just whatever direction you feel it's gonna take you. Because as you grow as a person, your interests change.
Yeah, your music should grow as you're growing yourself.
Yeah,
That reflects in
exactly.
your music.
And honestly, man, if you're a hip hop artist and you didn't have that phase at the beginning where you just wanted to rap, you might be a little weird. You know what I mean? Everyone I know that is dope now, when they first started off, they were just rapping. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a common phase in most MCs.
Yeah.
They're just you just want to you guys should prove, and then once you kind of prove it, you're okay, now it's time for the next chapter.
Yeah, I had really cool rhymes when I started, but I wasn't really talking about anything. I want to develop my storytelling in songwriting is one of my weaker points. I'm really good at having these multi-syllable metaphorical going on, but then it's like, what am I actually saying? When I started analyzing my lyrics, I was like, what am I saying? You know? So yeah, there's so many levels to it, but like for sure, like,
that's crazy. You say like analyzing music. I feel like majority of artists these days don't do that. You know what I mean? They don't go back and you know what I mean, like it's just like they write the first things that come to their mind. You know what I mean? Or they write just one verse. I'm like, okay, I killed it. That's it. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like there's a certain sense of bravado to being like hip hop, right? Like there's a certain sense of like, you know, like I'm the shit, I'm the best, you know what I mean? And with that, you know, you should be able to like go into a booth, freestyle and kill that shit, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I completely get that. However, at the same time, you know, like we were saying, your music should grow with you, you know what I mean? If your music is always just one dimensional, if your music is always just like, you know, you're saying the same shit over and over again, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Just making the same song in different fonts.
Yeah.
No, like what you said, like my first ever song on Spotify is called Like Me, and it's like it's a very popular song amongst my fans and people that support me. And I was listening to it like a few months back now, maybe even a year ago now, and I was just like it's dope. Like it's like from literally the first thing, from 0 seconds to the end of the song, I'm just rapping my ass off. And then I was thinking one day, I was like, what is this song about? And I was like, it is literally just about saying that you cannot rap like me. Whoever you are, you cannot rap like me. And that's what the song was about. And like, I guess there's a time and place for everything, but I was like, I want to make more than just that. You know what I mean?
I was listening to that. I was listening to that this morning, actually.
That's awesome.
I was listening to a couple of your tracks just to see, and then YBK was showing me some of your tracks last week when we were hanging out with Taco. And like the first thing I noticed is that your bars are kind of like well thought out.
Yes.
In the sense that like you listen to a lot of artists that are, again, like I was saying, just rapping about nothing. They sound good, but like you're actually thinking about like what you're saying and like how it's presented. It's pretty cool. Like I couldn't quite put my finger on like where your style sort of comes from and sits in the world of hip hop, but I can see different influences, things that influence you.
Like
but no, I thought it was really cool. Like keep doing what you're doing. Like it's dope.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, man.
If you had like to compare it, do you have like one artist you can compare it to? And if you don't, that's a good thing.
I'd have to listen to it more because I shouldn't give an answer when I don't know your music that well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I have a question to ask you, and then I'll answer your question, right?
Yeah.
So when I first got introduced to your music, the first song I heard was On My Own.
Yeah.
Right. Fire, bro. I listen to it too.
That one I still like,
like, hard song, you know what I mean? Versus your last song, which is Oh My God, I think.
Yeah.
That was your last song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is the... Because I also loved Oh My God. I love the sample. I love the collab with the female artist. I've never heard of her before.
Yeah.
I mean, which is... I always love finding new artists I've never heard of. You know what I mean? She was dope, and I found the lyricism and like the grittiness was just as profound as in On My Own. But like, could you explain? Was like 2 years, 3 years in between those songs. What changed for you? What remained the same? How did you find it working with a collab artist? I know you've done other songs with like Saint Luther. Not Saint Luther.
Yeah, I've worked with Saint Luther.
Yeah, Saint Luther, and just someone else I'm not remembering right now.
There's a bunch. Smoke Emerson, sure.
Yes, that's what I was actually thinking of. Smoke Emerson, all of those people, right? But how was it like working with? Because I would assume like she wasn't hip hop, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them were hip hop, right? So how was that?
Yeah, no, it was. Honestly, it was. So basically, we had a crib at the time, and she was my girlfriend's best friend, but they weren't talking for like a little while, and they had just started talking again, becoming friends again. So when she came by the crib, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm like my mom's a music teacher. Like I'm a singer." She hadn't put out a single song. So it's just like, it was just like, and I was like, "Yeah, let's fuck around." We were all drinking, just a little chill sesh. Rolled upstairs. We found a beat. Trav actually went to the vendor. By the time he came back from the vendor, we had the whole song written. Yeah, exactly. And then I just laid down the hook because honestly, I did not think about that song at all. It was literally just all organic.
It was the most
natural.
organic shit.
We made a song.
Songs like that are beautiful.
The song, like literally everything, probably took an hour for that song. Right. It was absolutely. And then so the first song that girl ever made, Grace, she's the best. I have Grace, and then ended up on the fucking radio. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. So
That's raw.
yeah, it was nuts.
I feel like as you develop as an artist, it's really easy to start overthinking things.
Yeah.
And like lose that rawness that got you started
Yeah.
on your journey.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm personally struggling with right now, trying to develop my lyricism, but stay true to like the rawness that people fell in love with in the beginning, you know?
It's such a balance, and like it's terrible advice, and I don't suggest this for anyone, but for that one, it was probably the liquor speaking. You know what I mean? Like I was just loose, I was vibing.
Yeah.
The main difference between something like that and on my own is like on my own at that moment, I felt like I was still a lot of shit to prove, like da 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 da, versus OMG. I was like more like that's not my genre, like in my head at least. Maybe it's something I'll fuck around with more, but it's more of a pop sound. You know what I mean? And it was also just like, yeah, let's step out my comfort zone a little bit. Had some liquid courage, so I was like, I didn't mind. And at that point, I'd already had, in my head at least, received that acceptance. So I wasn't. It wasn't that same like, to prove vibe. It was more just like, let's make a hit, you know, and like kind of just happened. We actually sat on the song for a year. So we made that song, we sat on it, and then I was like, hey, we're not letting another year go by. We're releasing this this summer here.
So
and then we released it and ended up on the radio.
Yeah.
Like a month later.
It's a dope song, man.
It's
Like
pretty sick.
I could see like her verse getting sampled, like that chorus.
Yeah.
I could see that getting sampled in like future song, man. That's beautiful.
So in that year, did anything change, or was the song you had it made and then it stayed the same for the year, or did you guys develop it?
No, it was done.
Okay.
It was done.
That's
it was
awesome.
Done. It just sat there. We were just life. You
That's
know what I
cool.
mean?
That's
Life
cool.
going on. I'm
Okay.
dropping other shit in the meantime. She's focusing on becoming a lawyer. Like she honestly doesn't really have the same like aspiration to be an artist. She's just talented as just talented as her whole family. Like her mom, her sister, they're all just like incredible musicians, incredible singers. And yeah, so she just unfair. You know what I mean? Like we're just grinding, busting her ass. She could be famous so easily. Like she's so good. So it's nuts. So yeah, basically she was like studying for like an LSAT and shit like that. So we're like, I'm not gonna be like, yo, we should really drop this song. You know? So I was letting her figure out her shit. And then when the time was right, put it out. And honestly, like it's still like I'm pretty sure it did like 1K streams first week, all organic, and that's just because like we were playing it at parties over that year. Like we were showing our friends, and that it was like already infamous before it was famous. You know what I mean? It was already like in our circle, in our little support groups. Like people
and I seen like some like videos on Instagram too promoting it. And
exactly.
Like those videos look dope, man.
Yeah, thank you. Like when the song came out, there was people that already knew every word. So it was like definitely played an advantage. I don't always sit on songs for that long, but I have had it where I sit on a song for a year or two and I drop it and it still does all right.
Man, do you ever feel pressure to release or pressure to stay relevant?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like especially like around that time for sure. Like 2023, 2022. I had like it was my first full year being a solo artist, so I don't know. I just got so lucky. Like I honestly got so lucky. I like got everything. I mean, I worked for it, but like. I got a nice local buzz right away. Being a solo artist, I opened up for artists like BB No Money in my first year of performing. And,
oh, really?
Oh, bad. I just got...
When was that?
It was, May of 2020. It would have been right after that show. It would have been, like, it was either May or June of 2022.
But I felt you were buzzing before that. Because, like I said, I did my research on the local industry, and I mean, and you were on the top of the radar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. No, that's, like, I had done, like, a bunch of smaller local shows, but even like still I was started like popping off quick. 2023 though, I got my Instagram deleted. So like I don't know, I was just like way too egocentric at that. I was feeling myself too much. I like
you got it deleted. Like what do you?
I podcast.
You deleted it?
Wait, no. I was on a podcast. We had a funny clip.
Yeah.
We got like 250,000 views, and then I guess people and it was getting like 200 shares. It was a funny clip. It was a little bit. I'm not gonna say it. But it honestly wasn't that bad. There's worse on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
of course.
But it went against community guidelines. It must have gotten reported enough times, and then they just full on deleted my account with 2K followers.
They deleted your account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I was just getting to Folk Fest. It was the morning. It was July 5th, 2023. I was just getting to Folk Fest. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then either way, they straight up completely deleted my account. And like I had like just went to CM Dub, met some manager. I was like, my career was. It was too good to be true. You know what I mean? Right. So and then that was like the most humbling thing is like, man, like realistically as an artist, a lot of your value comes in your social media. Yes. And it sucks dick, but it's just facts. So then starting right from zero was like very humbling. It was very like, okay, I need to. I that's felt pressure. I was like, I need to get back to where I was type vibe.
Well,
like,
they can just take it away at any time.
Oh, man, it's so stupid. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, 2,000 followers ain't shit to them. Don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, even if you got 20K followers, you get your account deleted, you're fucked.
Don't care. Like, they'll just take everything away from you for no reason, because I'm going to have to bleep this out, but they're just a bunch of No, they're just a bunch of like, we can't say this and that anymore on the internet. Like, grow the up. We're all adults.
Exactly.
Like, what is the reason for it? Because there's kids on your platform? There's on your platform.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There is on Instagram and Facebook, what I mean. Like, and people getting killed.
Yeah,
and it's
decapitation.
Yeah, I just watched like somebody get stomped out by an elephant the other day on Instagram. And I was like, bro, that is way worse than what I posted. Like,
what is bullshit?
Yeah, it was absolutely. But
that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, that situation created a lot of pressure for me, and then I started looking at things in the wrong way and started making moves that maybe I shouldn't have. And now at this point, honestly, like, yeah, I still feel pressure, but I don't really give a fuck right now, to be honest. I just feel like what's meant to be is going to be meant to be. And I know, I feel I have all the pieces to the puzzle, and I just got to be authentically me, be myself. That's...
You can't let it control you.
Exactly.
You can't let these external forces outside of your control you. You know?
Much easier said than done.
I know, but that's like a part of the learning process too, of being an artist, being a public figure, is like, I know like one day probably one of my Instagram accounts is going to get deleted. I have two, so I have a backup one that I'm also building, and they're for different purposes, but at the same time, if it gets deleted, I have to think, and I've thought about that, because it's happened to people that I know. You're just another example of someone that it's happened to. It's like, you got to have like a backup plan and be like, I feel like there's almost a market for a new social media platform with the way that Facebook and Instagram are going downhill right now. Because they are going downhill. I don't know if anyone else noticed.
They just reversed their policies, right? With Trump in office, they're gonna stop all the censorship.
Right. But I mean, but still, like all the.
I feel like that would change after Trump, right?
All the AI. Yeah, exactly. And then it's like all the AI. Which I'm getting just sick of seeing. Like, I want to delete my Facebook account, but again, like, being an artist, you kind of need social media.
Yeah.
And also, I talk to a lot of people on Messenger. I think you can deactivate your account and still have your Messenger active, though. But yeah, like, I'm just getting, like, I need to stop scrolling through Reels, man. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Man, I want to backtrack a bit. You said, 2022 was your first time being a solo artist?
Yeah, well, no, 2021 was my first year, but 2022 was, like, my first, like, when I started, because it started opening up from COVID, and so shows started happening. So it was differently, because it was different than, like, oh, I saw this guy on Instagram, he's dope. It's like, I see this guy right here, he's dope, you know what I mean? So I think that, like, what really brought it up. I mean, my first music video was directed by 40, and, like, had, like, Fab sharing it. Like, at the time, that was the coolest thing. I was like, this is my first song, and, like, these guys are, like... And shout out to those boys. Those guys are the best.
Man, that's crazy, because from the outside looking in, it kind of felt like you had industry support, but it kind of seemed like that all happened organically. Like,
I don't even know. Basically, what it kind of stems from is when I first started getting in the studio, I was just mainly a producer. So I was making beats for other people, and then I met a lot of these people as a producer. And then, like, I actually don't know if you know, but I was in for years. I was in a group called Cookout Crew with my homie Sonny and a few other my boys, and so I was like, and I was basically like, I cook up the beat while they were writing their shit, and then I'd record them. And then I'd do a verse on the song. So all I ever did was make the beat and record one verse, you know? So I was like never really developing as an actual solo artist at all. And never was cooking up hooks.
Yeah.
Because I was too busy making the beat, you know what I mean? While they were making the hook already.
Yeah.
So a big thing for me was like actually saying like, you know what? Like, I love you boys, but I want to try and figure it out myself. And that's kind of what happened, is that like all of a sudden they're like, oh, yo, you know that producer Vital? Like, I've heard him rapping in the studio the other day, and like it's like actually dope. And then I dropped 5 freestyles on YouTube, just YouTube only, and got a little buzz from there. And then like word just started spreading around because the shit was dope. So yeah.
It was dope. That's crazy. I feel like not a lot of local artists have that experience. I mean, you experience to a lot of local artists is gonna feel very surreal, like that happened. You know that.
Oh man, I was a fan, bro. I was a fan. I remember the first time I met Miazway, I was a fan. First time I met Fab, I was a fan.
Yeah.
Like I was like, those are people that like before I was ever even in the scene that I listened to and shit like that. So yeah, it was cool at the time for sure, and I'm very grateful for all those people that maybe saw something in me back then. I don't think they expected it to be like this, but it's it is what it is. It's awesome, man. I like proving people wrong too, and that's probably why I was rapping like that on Like Me, because I was like, you think I just make beats? Let me show you how much I rap. Then that was kind of the vibe at the time.
You asked, what influence do I? Yeah, I kind of do a little bit of Eminem. I a little bit of 50, like not necessarily like in like your rhyme style, but like in like the energy, you know what I mean? Got it on my own, got it on my own.
Yeah, I actually see that. Yeah,
that sounds like a very like G Unit vibe, you know what I mean? Very grimy, very greedy. But yeah, those are really the only like 2 I could pinpoint. I wouldn't say I could tell any other influence.
That's cool. No, some kid, great guy, came up to me the other day and he was telling me, he's like, so and so sounds like this, so and so sounds like this. He's like, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
He's like, you sound like yourself, and that's it. And I'm like, man, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of struggling with too. But I feel like if I listen to your music more, I can pinpoint a few influences. But that's a good problem to have. Is like,
it is. I asked because I want to know as well too.
But that's the thing. Like,
I don't know who I sound like.
You have to
really
know what you sound like to get good at marketing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I've heard like every white boy's gonna get Eminem if you rapping. I've heard Logic. I've heard Chance. Okay. Chance is the one I get the most because it's like a unique voice. Like that's But,
okay, I get it in that sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Like people have said, I sound like Eminem or Mac Miller or this and that, but on like 1 or 2 of my songs, and then one of my other songs is so different that it's like, well, now who do I sound like?
Yeah.
Like how am I gonna market myself and be like?
What's the one that is a reset? Is it wake up in the morning?
Oh, refresh.
Refresh. That one I could see has something to it, but at the same time, it's like even on your verses they're different too. I haven't dived in fully, but I love that one. It's like if you got a quarter brick, get started. That one cracks me up. Dude, it's fucking dope though.
Man, that's dope, man.
That's cool that you listen to that. And that song ends with a metal breakdown, but it's like I just want to do things that people don't expect. Like I'm so sick of hearing the same. Like we need to like, and that's what Taco was talking about too. Like distinguishing your art from like what's happening, all the noise in the culture. And
I liked it like last.
Oh,
fall.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, homie.
Yeah, it was at Folk Fest. I was playing it at Folk Fest.
Oh,
yeah, because I thought it was hilarious with the quarter brick. I was just like, and then I was like, this is catchy as fuck. So and I played on repeat like 50 times. Yeah,
I won't get addicted though. I cannot.
Man. I was just like, I love just the honesty, man.
The only reason I won't become a drug addict is because I'm broke.
Yeah,
it's like the joke. Yeah. That's the joke of the verse.
Yeah,
right?
It's awesome though. It's like very well executed.
Some people take my lyrics too seriously, but like I do a lot of joking around.
Yeah, if you got a booty hole, get on the floor and.
Yeah,
like that's.
And the thing about that is that everyone, male, female,
has a booty hole.
Any color, any race. I'm saying everyone is included in this song. When I say if you got a booty hole, shake it on the floor, that is every human being. So there's a joke in that too that people sort of have to like dig through.
I love that.
I like that shit. So sweet. How long have you been doing music?
I started. Like, are we talking like just like I'll just go through the whole timeline. In high school. Yeah. High school, I like started when I was just skipping school with the homies, smoking weed, freestyling in the car type. You know what I mean? Okay. And then after I graduated, maybe a year after I graduated, we really we're still freestyling, drinking, whatever, And we were like, yo, we'd go to parties and like I was never like the best freestyler at the time, but 2 of my other friends were actually really, really good, and so we'd have like circles at parties and like that, and we're like, man, we gotta make music, like they'd love us. Like meanwhile they're probably just laughing at us. Who knows? But so then we bought like a USB mic. It was like September 2015 is when we first started making music. And then as a group, there was 4 of us. We released our first song. I don't think it was until like 2018 or 2019 that we actually put it out. But the whole time I was cooking. Like probably recorded like between myself and other people on the tracks, probably like 1,500 songs. Not good songs either. You know what I mean? Like we're just drunk making music. But then it was when we met Travis, August of 2020. We just met Travis T. Travis T's a man. We met him, went to his studio. He was in Charlottesville at the time. And we started recording, and he was a way better engineer than I was. And yeah, when did we release the first Cookout Cruise? 20, some point, like August, September 2020 is when we started really putting on Spotify. Okay. And then my first solo song was January of 2021.
Okay, so about 5-6 years you've been like taking it more seriously?
Yeah, exactly, but doing it for like 10. Yeah.
Do you think that like how important do you think persona is in performance arts, in the sense that persona is like how people perceive you and how that sort of distinguishes from like who you are as a person when you're not doing music? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you see in like in the entertainment industry, like celebrities have this sort of like perspective and vibe around them that might not necessarily be who they are behind the scenes.
Right. So to backtrack, it's like, is there a difference between your personal identity and your artist persona? Yes.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. I feel like for like most like major label artists, they're always like kind of forced into a rebrand. You know, like you look at Chappell Roan, for example. She was making completely different music 5 years ago. And no, she had written some of her hits already and released them, but then they're like, yo, your branding's whack. So they completely rebranded her. It's just like a common thing right now. And like if you're going to be like top of the food chain, like even look at Drake, for example, they clearly wanted to make a little rebrand. They're like, okay, people are sick of you being a little sad boy here. We need you to be tough now. And like that's clearly what happened, and it worked for like the masses, like for fans like you and me. Like you said Scorpion, you stopped listening. I stopped listening after Views, to be honest. But yeah, early I was a huge fan. But yeah, I think that they're like, if you're gonna be a persona is very important. For me personally, I'm at this point right now where I would just prefer to be me, honestly. I just feel that it's easier. I'm not against if you do a persona and that's like who you are. Obviously there's like any artist, like you get into a mode where it's like, okay, I'm Vital right now, I'm on stage, I'm da-da-da, but like even then I still feel I'm the same person. That's just like, it's just game time now. You know what I mean? It's just like fucking Sidney Crosby on the Ice Game 7, like intense. Like but I'm so indecisive on it because there has been times where I felt like I was creating a persona and it was like, oh, I gotta be Vital right now, I gotta be da-da-da. But now I feel like Austin and Vital are kind of just blended. You know what I mean? Like, depends on the day. Like, it's just, I feel like just like my music has really evolved lately of just me being myself, being honest and vulnerable. And I feel like with being vulnerable, persona doesn't always roll well with that because it's not genuine.
That's interesting because I believe that in this day and age, persona is not necessary.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like branding and marketing are important.
Yeah.
But persona, like sometimes you see artists that are like this, they act the same in their interviews as they do in their songs. Yeah. And I like that.
Exactly.
I like that sort of authenticity.
Yeah. I think like you generally build up a more like, lack of better terms, a cult-like fan base if you're just being you. Because they're like, yo, I f*** with that guy and I f*** with his music and like they're both the same, da-da-da. Yeah. Versus like more of those like big mainstream artists with the persona. They might have the big hits in the club and shit like that, but you don't know them as a person. Yeah. I don't know shit about, I don't know, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I mean? Certain artists,
I know what you mean.
Like, yeah.
I know what you mean, bro. I'm with you there. It's like you want to see that connection, that continuity between the artist and like the person, you know. And most times it's hard to find like you like both the artist and the person. So when you do find that, it's something special.
Exactly. And that's it's a rare thing. I think there's something that like Kendrick and the whole TDE crew did really well growing up, or when I was growing up. Sorry, because like I was a big Schoolboy Q fan. Yeah, and I liked who he was as a dude. And I liked his music. Yeah, man, that's your boy. There you go. I like Absol too, but Schoolboy Q for some reason is my dude. I don't know why. I just fuck with him. He was like a stoner. He's like, I don't know. He's dope. Like he's about his shit. Yeah, and that's why that's what I see as me as a fan. I personally like when there's no persona. Right. That's just me, though. Yeah. There's people that prefer the persona, especially when you're looking at, like, fucking... I was going to say ICP, but actually those guys are actually just like that. Like that actually is them. That's not even a persona.
That's the thing. ICP, MF Doom, like, this whole... like, there's, like, a whole other element to who they are. It's not just the music anymore. It's the look. Yeah. That's what I mean by persona. Like, how do people perceive you? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You're gonna see me next year on stage with like a mask on. I'm like, yeah, actually, I am doing the persona thing.
Maybe we should throw in our opinions too.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Like, like I'll just do a real quick one. Like for me, like persona is something that I feel like I'm still figuring out, and like I always will be. But at the same time, again, I don't think I need it. I think I just need to keep discovering who I am as an artist through my music. Yeah. I feel like I just have to keep doing music and figuring it out that way and seeing what resonates with people through what I do instead of trying to figure out what can I do to resonate with people. I would say I'll just keep doing what I'm doing until things resonate with people. You know what I mean? Like and if they don't, that's fine.
I'll just make sure that resonate with yourself. And then there'll be people out there that relate to it as you relate to it.
Yeah, that's real.
If that makes any sense. Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. For me, identity is such like a big bracket thing. You know what I mean? And it's like there are different things that makes a person identity. You know, from their age, their race, their sex. Their, you know, culture, background, or economic class, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like for me, like being an artist is a part of my identity, but like I see identity as something that's always like evolving and growing. So I want to get to a point where like my artist identity and like my identity is like very like cohesive, kind of like the same. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the identity I had growing up wasn't necessarily my best self. You know what I mean? And right now I'm trying to get to my best self. You know what I mean? And I feel like my ideal artist persona is kind of like a version of my best self, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping at some point they kind of like, you know what I mean, intertwine, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I see it, you know what I mean? Like YBK versus Olu is like, I feel like I want to grow into YBK, you know what I mean? Not that I'm ignoring my past or whatever. It's like YBK for me is like the embodiment of the better version of myself.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah. I think we're all on that path without even noticing it too. Yeah, I need to. Like, you're intelligent, so you consciously notice it. I think the Austins here a little bit. We're not even aware that we're doing it.
I need to modify my response a little bit now because I thought about some of my more wacky songs. Yeah. So also I use music as like an outlet to be like wildly ADHD comedic, like you know.
I've noticed that. I love that.
I just say ridiculous things that maybe don't make any sense, but they made sense in my mind when I wrote them. Yeah. So there's things that I say in my music that I would never say just like in a conversation.
Right. Yeah. But that's art. That's art too.
So that is persona. That is how my persona is slightly different than who I am. It comes from me, yes. Yeah. But like it's a freedom of expression.
Yeah. I'm so on the fence if that's a persona or not, because I feel that still like comes from a genuine version of you. Yeah. It's just you feel more comfortable presenting it in art form rather than in conversation.
Yeah, so that's why I say like I feel like for all of us, like he said, like artist persona isn't necessarily persona, is just like another part of our identity. Right.
It's such a fine line, man. Yeah. It's beautiful. That's so cool. Yeah, because I'm been sad as to be honest. And so people were asking like, yo, what's up? And like I don't like talking about it, but I made a song about it, and I just hit play, and there you go. Now you know what's going on. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
somebody DMs you, what's up? You just send them a link.
Yo, you been okay, bro? It's fucking okay. Clearly, you have not been. Like,
it's like, I don't want to talk about it, but like, listen to this.
They reply like it's an actual conversation. It's like, oh yeah, interesting. So
yeah, exactly.
Shit. No, that's crazy though, because like for me too, a big part of music for me, my story with starting music was that music for me was therapy. You know what I mean? Music for me was my comfort zone, my happy place. Like music for me was like the big brother I never had. You know what I mean? Like music to me was like a mentor. It was all of these different things in one that shaped so much of my identity. You know what I mean? And so when I started making my own music, it was so like liberating, you know what I mean, to just express myself anywhere I want, all of my thoughts that I felt like, not necessarily bad thoughts, but you know, like when we go back to being authentic and vulnerable, you know what I mean, as like in society we're kind of conditioned to filter ourselves, you know what I mean, and like put on like a mask and make personas, you know what I mean, and I felt like music was that one place where I didn't have to do that, you know what I mean, and so that was so liberating.
That's amazing. I was the opposite, I think, in a way, where maybe I was using it as a mask, you know, where like I wouldn't say certain shit on the mic, where I wouldn't like that's why I appreciate like that whole thing of like, you're like, okay, I'm not going to say this out loud, but I'm going to put it in the song because this is who I am. It's my ADHD craziness, right? Yeah. So like same thing with me was like, I think for a long time to my demise was I was not maybe being like opening up and being my authentic self on the mic a lot of times, where or I was being my authentic self, but I was hiding. You know what I mean? Where I was sad, and to feel better, I'd go and make a hype song.
You're like filtering,
I mean? But like it's just that ain't even like what it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like for now, like what I feel I've really gotten better at over the last 6 months or so is like, you know, really putting that, like using it as therapy. I did it reverse. A lot of people get into music like as a therapeutic thing. Right. I got into music so I want to sound dope, bro. I won't even lie. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I want to sound sick as I was young, I was dumb. Like it is what it is. So like I figured out how to sound dope, and then now I'm like, oh, yo, it is the perfect therapy. And then when you actually open it up, and then you put yourself out there, and it sounds dope. It's sick. Like,
now you figured out the formula.
It took me a while. I was behind you.
When you say sound dope, are you talking about like production or subject matter in your lyricism?
Both. Like just honestly, I'm mainly sonically. Like it would go to production and flow mainly. But it also ties in songwriting.
There's so many levels to that. It's like how you project your voice, and then how you like mix your vocals,
how you enunciate.
Exactly. So I got a lot of that down. I mean, to the credit of Trav, he recorded hundreds of songs together. But yeah, like then I start reflecting. I'm like, okay, a lot of these songs have the same subject matter. It's about how you're good at rapping, how you're an attractive, young, confident man, how you're the. Okay, what else? Where's the story here?